Okay, you're going to be doing some problems today that are going to correlate frequency and wavelength. We know that the higher the frequency, what? Is it the longer the wavelength or the shorter the wavelength? So let's do a first example together. And the question is, if I have the frequency of 8.0 times 10 to the 14th hertz, what is the wavelength of my wave? So I got to find an equation that I'm going to use. So I know that from my previous studies in this unit that C equals wavelength times the frequency. So step 1, write the equation you're going to do. Step 2, put in your knowns. So here you can rearrange your equation first and then put in your numbers, or you can wait until you're done rearranging the equation. So I prefer to do it after I rearrange the equation. So I need to have wavelength all by itself. So I'm going to divide each side by V. So that gives me C equals lambda. C divided by frequency, sorry, this doesn't disappear. So we know that the speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 8th. And we know that our frequency is 8 times 10 to the 14th. So this is step 3, plug and chug. Step 4 is to put your answer and make sure you have the right units. So we have 3.75 times 10 to the negative 17th. So are we going to measure that in hertz, joules, seconds, meters? So then we have to remind ourselves, what is wavelength? And wavelength is a measure of distance. So we're going to use meters. Step 4 ends with you circling your answer in Go Formative in red. Whoopsie. See, I'm learning new things. Okay, let's do another problem. If we have the wavelength equals 633 nanometers, and we want to know what is the frequency of our wave. So the first thing we have to do is our unit for our nanometers before we do anything else. So I know that 1 nanometer equals 1 times 10 to the negative 9th. You can look it up, you can Google it, you can do your little staircase or math, whatever you need to do. So 1 nanometer is 1 times 10 to the negative 9th. So then I have to put down my equation, step 1. So I'm going to use C equals wavelength times frequency, because I've been given the wavelength. I know the speed of light, and so I want to solve for frequency. So I'm going to rearrange that equation. So I have C equals wavelength times V. I want V all by itself. So I'm going to divide each side by the wavelength. So then put in my knowns, plug and chug. So let's do another one just for fun. If I have the frequency of 640 hertz, what is my wavelength? So first thing, I have been given frequency, and I know wavelength, so I know V, I know C, and I want to know wavelength. So I'm going to use the equation C equals the wavelength times the frequency. Rearrange the equation. Here's what all your little math homework has always been about, is science. Can't separate math and science. So then we get the speed of light divided by the frequency, which was 640, gives us 4.69 times 10 to the 5th. And here we are, looking at our answer. Okay, should it be seconds, hertz, meters, nanometers, and a new one we're going to look at next, joules. Well, frequency is measured in hertz. And then circle our answer, and we're done.